Welcome to Sage Intacct Construction 2024 Release 1 highlights. For a full list of all of the new features, on the home page in Sage Intacct, you'll click on the Read the Release Notes green link, and this will list out all of the new updates and features that Sage has rolled out in this release. We will be covering the more pertinent items in this release note area. The first new feature Sage has rolled out that I'm going to cover talks about some improved calculations on the order entry forms, and those fields also will be available for the printed document templates or those specific invoice forms as well. So on your specific order entry invoice form, you're going to have available this new total changes approved this month calculation. So I'm going to navigate over to an invoice and show you the difference and show you what is available now with this new feature. So on this specific project, 22022, when I look at this 1/1 of 24 project invoice, the total approved changes this month is 0. Now, in the system, there is a change order dated 2/12 of 24 for $5,500 for this project. So if I navigate over to the next invoice for this project in February, that now with the new feature, so that's dated 2/29 for this same project, with the new feature, the $5,500 only shows up on this order entry screen and on this order entry invoice because of the fact that the dates are in February. So the change order in February, this is in February, but on the January 1 invoice, that is 0. So now these fields can be used on your invoice forms properly if you want to do more of a true total changes approved this month and not a more, what it used to be was this was current. So on the 1/1 of 24 invoice, this was showing up the $5,500. So the new feature, it is now properly cutting off. The next new feature is the AP and AR aging standard reports are now enhanced to display retainage balances with a cutoff date. So if you release retainage, for example, in March, and you run an AP aging as of February, it is now going to show that retainage still in February, but it's going to show it removed in March. So just to show you on the vendor aging report, for example, which is housed right here, this one is run as of February 13th. And we're going to be looking at this retainage right here for this Buffalo Building Company. So there's $2,000 here as of 2/13. You come over here and look at 3/31, it is now missing, okay? So basically, on 3/1, there was a retainage batch release of $2,000. That, it properly removed from the aging on 3/31, because it was released on 3/1, but it is still showing up on 2/13, right here. So now these retainage balance columns work properly on the vendor and customer agings or AP and AR agings with proper cutoff for retainage. Another new feature is project contract billing details. There is a tab now on the accounts receivable invoices screen. So if we navigate over to one of the invoices, you can see this project contract billing details tab is a new addition with a new feature. So it's got information down here, like original contract amount, your total changes in prior months, etc. And these fields can be used now on the invoice forms as well. So just another new highlight, a new feature that they've done, putting that on the AR invoice screen.
As part of Sage Intacct's new release for 2024, submitters of an AP bill can now get a notification once their bill has been approved. So to make sure that this happens, you want to go to Applications, Accounts Payable, hit Setup, Configuration, scroll all the way down until you get to your bill approval settings. Enable bill approval would already have been on if you're doing approvals. You want to make sure email notifications is ticked. And this is going to ensure that who submitted the bill is going to get a notification once it's approved. And that's it. Another new feature with this release is that you can now delete advanced filters within the AP Bills screen. So if you go to Applications, Accounts Payable, hit All, bring up your Pay Bills screen. And once you select any filter, so let's just say this one, you can edit filters now and you have the option to delete. So this was bills between 100 and 5,000 sorted by due date. Now, if you don't like this, you can delete this filter. If you're an admin, you can delete the filters. And that's that. As part of Sage Intacct's new release, they've made some updates to the reporting section. So now within your financial reports, you can see version history on your reports. So if you go to Applications, Reports, All, click into your financial reports. And this one in particular, I've already made some changes to. So I'm going to show you this for reference. So PM Project Profit. Right now, if I view it, this is what it looks like. It's got my project managers on separate pages and it's just all black ink. Okay. So now if I hit more actions, go to view version history, I can click on a different version, which I know I prefer. Preview this print version. And it's all of them on one page and your negative numbers are red. So you can restore this or you can cancel, whatever you prefer to do. I'm just going to restore it. So more actions, view version history. That's going to give you all of your versions on reports. Also, as part of their new release, they have improved the process for setting up report schedules. So now when you create or update a report schedule, the system will limit running past reports to 31. So there's no physical changes that you can see with this update. It's just running in the background so that when you edit schedules, it doesn't give you a huge backlog of reports that could potentially cause performance problems. So that is all of the updates with reports.
The next 2024 Release 1 enhancement we're going to take a look at is related to project billing and over in the order entry module. They now give you an option to how you want to see some information displayed inside your project contract invoices. In previous releases, they have hid the additional billing summary fields, project change order fields, and some additional fields inside the entry screen for contract invoices. Now they give you the option to turn that on or off, make that available if you want it, or hide it behind the scenes if you want to simplify the view. So this is going to be done inside the transaction definition. So if we go over to, I'm going to go at top level, and I'm going to go to order entry, and I'm going to go to setup, transaction definitions. And we're going to go into our project contract invoice transaction definition, which is typically going to be where you're going to set up your definition for your progress billing, your AAA type looks. Inside this definition, and for any project contract definition like the T&M one, you're going to be able to go into edit. And in the configuration under general, if you scroll down, we get down to the area where we're going to set up the accounting section. You're going to see a new button here. You want to make sure that your project contract billing is enabled. That's the only way you're going to be able to do your project contract billing. And there's a new button here called Display Original Project Contract Billing Amount Fields. These are fields that came out initially when this first came out. And then in the past, they hid them. And people have asked if they could make that available again, and this is the optional field. So we're going to leave this off for a second. So I'm going to jump over to my Timberline General Construction entity, and let's go take a look at one. So you can see these invoices either from projects under all, and then you can go into view to see all your past invoices. You can also go into order entry and go to all and go into your specific project contract invoice definition and see them here as well. It's the same screen no matter where you go. But if we click over on that, and we just take a look at one of the ones we've done recently, and I'm going to just click Edit. You can do Edit or View. And down here near the bottom, you're going to see a section that says Project Contract Billing. And so this is where you can get some additional fields to show up inside your invoice, which can make it helpful if someone's taking a look at, want to see what they billed previously, things of that nature. So right now you don't see any of those fields in there. You just see a, pretty generic looking screen here with some information on it. And you don't see any change order information as well. Then down in the detail, if I click on the entries detail, if you click on show details, there are some additional fields that you can add here. They do have some completed this period fields, things like that, but nothing as far as original contract values. So what we'll do is we'll turn that on and you'll see how these fields, you get more options here now. So let's go ahead and hide the details. And let's go back to our top level. And I'm going to get back to my list here. And I'm now going to go into my project contract invoice transaction definition. And I'm going to turn that button on. So I'm going to scroll down. And I'm going to go down to here and say display original project contract billing fields. Click save. And then what I'll do is I'll go back over to my entity level, my Timberline General Construction. I'm going to get back to my list. I'm going to go ahead and say leave here and get right back to my main list. And it should have refreshed it for me, but just in case, I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh again. And now if we go and take a look, let's go take a look at that same. You can do edit or view. Let's do view this time. When you get into here now, when I scroll down, now you'll notice under project contract billing, there's a billing summary section. And this is the section that you just made available. You can see right here what you revised, total completed, previous billings, retainage balance. So a lot of information that you'll see in a typical AIA type progress billing view is now available here right inside the invoice. In addition to that is also the ability to see change order detail. Again, another field that's typically on an AIA billing, additions, deductions, net, total changes approved prior, this month. So that's all available now for you. And then finally, if I go down to the item here and I click on show detail, when I scroll down here, now you see some more fields that we didn't have in the prior as well. And so that button just gives you the ability to see this type of information on your screen, but it just gives you more flexibility when you're inquiring on this invoice. So that's the new display option over in order entry for your definitions. Go ahead and try it out. Continuing on with our 2024 release items, over on the construction side, users now have the ability to track insurance and miscellaneous compliance records by the primary document. So in the prior releases, you can track that information on the vendor only. In this scenario, you're now able to turn on and track items like insurances specific to each subcontractor commitment for that agreement itself. As in the prior release, you'll need to make sure over in your subscriptions that you do have the vendor compliance area configured and turned on. So I'm going to go into setup company subscriptions, and you do want to make sure down, if you scroll down near the bottom, and I keep going down here under the vendor compliance, you do want to make sure that is enabled. The setup for this is going to be over in the purchasing module. So I'm going to go at top level under setup. And over under vendor compliances, we're going to go now into compliance definitions, and you're going to have a few more options here. So if I click on the list, there's some existing ones already set up, and you'll notice you have this track by option now. So in the past, it was just vendor for insurances and miscellaneouses. Lien waivers were down at the primary document. Now in this release, you're going to have the ability to turn on these definitions down to the primary document level for insurances and for any miscellaneous compliance definitions that you want to set up. So let's go ahead and set up a new one. I'm going to click add here. And I'm going to call this definition ID. Let's call it sub insurance. Because we're going to want to track insurance certificates for each commitment that we have for our subs. So I'm going to give it a definition. And you have this compliance category. So we're going to set it up as an insurance category. We're going to make it active. And this is the new area here. You now have this track by where you can come in here and say, I want to track this at the primary document level. So for each subcontract document, I have the ability to track insurances now. And you can have it automatically generate whenever the document is created, or in this case, we're going to actually go in and enter them when we're entering the subcontract document. So we're going to say, do not generate. You have options as far as how you're going to validate your compliance. And if you select the insurance, that defaults to expiration date. If I was to change this and maybe make it miscellaneous, you'll notice you have some additional options here for that. But I'm going to go ahead and say insurance. And then when I'm going to pay this commitment, what do I want to happen? Do I want an error, a warning, or ignore? And I'm just going to say a warning for now. So once you set that up, you're going to go ahead and hit save. And that'll get set up in the system to be used later on. Now, because I am setting this up as the primary document, I am going to want to go back into my compliance types and set up my insurances that I want to track for a subcontract. So for example, I may want to track workers' compensation. So let's call this WC insurance. And we'll call it workers' comp insurance, spelled out. And I'm going to tie it to our new definition ID, sub-insurance. And you have to give it a record ID number sequence. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. And I'll call it WC insurance. And we'll just make it a 5-digit number with WC in the prefix, but we'll put it in cap. And let's go 6. So you can create your own sequence here. We'll say save. Oh, and we need a starting number. So let's start with 1. Okay. And that's all we need for this one here. So we'll say save. And maybe we want to also track general liability insurance, but I'm going to set it up again because this one is for the vendor level. So in my sample, I'm going to go and I'm going to create a new one. I do believe we can duplicate this. Nope. So let's go ahead and just go ahead and click add. And we'll use the same ID scheme here. We'll do it GL insurance. And we're going to link that also to the sub insurance. And we'll call it general liability insurance. And we'll go ahead and create a new one for that. And we'll just call it GL insurance. We'll make it 6. We'll put GL, we'll cap it though, and we'll start with 1 there. So those are set up. Those compliant types are set up in the system now. So now that that's set up, I can go over to my purchasing area and I can go ahead and I can actually, let's go to our entity. Let's go to our sample company here, general contract, GC entity. And I'm going to go to purchasing all, and I'm going to set up a subcontract. So I'm going to go ahead and click the plus button here and create a new one on the fly. And I'll select our subcontract we're going to use. We're going to use Buffalo Glass. We're going to code it to La Quinta, Houston. And we're going to come down here and enter our subcontract as normal. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in a line, and this is a glass company. I don't know if I have any, but we'll just go ahead and pick something here. So we're going to assume they're doing some steel. And they're going to be a subcontract. So we're going to fill that in, and we don't care about quantity. It's a subcontract, so we're going to say 25,000. So I'm going to click post. Once I have that record in the system, now there's going to be a new tab in this transaction definition screen. So there's the subcontract I just created. If I go back in, I'm going to click edit here. What you'll now see is the ability to track those compliance records right on the commitment itself. So inside subcontract, I'm going to see this new tab here called Commitment Compliance. I ignore this one. This was a test one I was playing with earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And so now I have the ability to fill that information out. So if I'm tracking insurances, I can come into here and click Add. And now I'll be able to grab my different types that I set up in the prior session. So I'm going to come here and say I want to fill in their workers' comp insurances. And you can make this screen bigger here, and you can fill out all these different fields. Have you received the document? What's the policy number? What's the amount? Who's it from? You could fill all that information in the system, but most importantly, you could track the date you received it and if it's expired or not. And in this case, maybe you want to put in an effective date of January 1, and let's say it's going to expire, we'll just do a month, March 31st. But the system can track that for you, and then you can track whether you received the document or not. And I can go ahead and hit save. And a lot of times you'll have a scanned in copy of that. So inside here, I can go back into it, and you can use the attachment function that you can use in the system as well, and drag it and drop it in and attach the actual document. And now that insurance record is going to be tied to not only the vendor, but that agreement as well. And if I want to add another one, now I have another one here where I can add the general liability. And then, you're going to fill in your policy number, amount, contact, anything you need, who'd receive it from, anything that you want to track here, you can go ahead and do that. And let's say we got it on the 8th, and the effective date is October to June. So you can fill that information in. Save. And now you have records, compliance records that can be monitored and will give you errors and warnings when they are expired. And you can go and hit post. And that transaction is in the system. Now you can also get to that information directly from the vendor compliance area. So in purchasing, under all, you can go to vendor compliance and you can get a complete list of all your compliance records. And inside here now, what you'll notice is you have this new column here, this primary document ID. So you can see there's some lien waiver ones here. There's the workers' comp insurance that we just did. And you can see how they're tied to that primary document. So you can do filters on this, conditions. But in this scenario, I could come into here and click right on that primary document, and it takes me right back to it. And then I can get into my commitment compliance from here. And that's the new feature of now being able to track insurance and miscellaneous compliance records by primary document. In this next session, we're going to focus specifically on the 2024 Release 1 updates and enhancements for the Sage Intacct Construction Payroll application. There's several features that they are bringing out here in this version. The biggest one is the employee portal. The employees are now going to have the ability to retrieve their pay stubs directly from logging into the system, and you're no longer going to have to worry about emailing out pay stubs or getting those pay stubs from 6 months ago for the employees. They can do that on their own now. So the setup is inside the payroll module. So if we go to the entity level, we go to payroll, and I'm going to go into employee. And what you're going to see is when you open up let's pick up an employee here. Let's go to Robert Jones. And there's going to be a new field on the details tab. So if you go all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see a section called Employee Pay Stub Access. And in here, you're going to be able to fill in the employee's personal email address. It does not have to be related to the company email, so that it can be sent to whatever email address they want to be able to log into and retrieve their stubs. And so once you fill in their email address and you click update, it's going to send them a welcome email with instructions on how to log in. They'll have a link to the login site. They'll have their username, which will be their email address, and then they'll have a temporary password. So from that link, they're going to be able to go in to their portal and they're going to be able to log in. I believe I might be already logged in. Yep. So I'm just going to log out again and show you guys how it would look. Employee pay stub. And they're going to come in and just fill in their email address and their temporary if it's the first time. If they forget their password, they're going to be able to click the forget your password button here and get that reset. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill out my password. And it'll take me into my portal. So Robert Jones, nice little feature here is they can review their information as to how it's in the system right now to make sure anything's correct. If something's incorrect, they can reach out to HR or to admin directly and get that corrected. But they'll be able to see their personal information, contact address information, and then over here on the left, the most important part is they'll be able to click on the pay stubs section. And in the pay stubs section, they'll see a list of all their available pay stubs that they can download and view. So not only their current week, but they're going to be able to reprint stubs maybe from 6 months ago. If they need a copy of it for something, they can go do that themselves now. So if they click on the check date that they're looking for, they can view it online. And then they can also download the pay stub or print it out directly here as well. So that is a big feature. Hopefully that can streamline your process and get those pay stubs out to individuals without having to worry about emailing every week. Okay, so some of the other enhancements in the payroll module, I'm just going to go back. Well, one of the enhancements you'll kind of see right here is in the employee record, you no longer have this back button. So for those who've been on the payroll system before, you used to have a back button here and then you'd have to hit back to go back one screen. Well, now they've removed that back. We have a back arrow here, right here, so you can just hit that. And I don't want to save anything, that's okay. And it'll take me back to the prior screen. The other thing you'll notice is some enhancements to the help menu. So you can get directly into the portal now, the help portal, right from inside the payroll module. So I can click on the question mark and that will take me right into the knowledge base and I can fill out information and look up some of the questions that I might have. The other big thing is the notification screen. They have really vamped up the details of the notifications you receive. You know, it might be during processing payroll. Maybe one of the pay modifiers isn't calculating correctly. The system's getting an error message. It'll provide you detailed messages now of exactly what the issue is, where to go fix it. It's been fantastic. And you can go ahead and clear them as you are done with the notifications. You can clear them out of there. So look for those types of cosmetic enhancements throughout the system. Some of the other things you can do directly inside the enter check screen now. In the past, when you're processing payroll, and let's go to salary here. See if I can find some checks. And you just hit the option where you can generate the pay stubs or generate the checks. And something happened, the file got deleted. You need to regenerate those stubs. In the past, we had to contact support to do that. Now, you're going to have a new button right here. There's going to be a new button on your right-hand side under Actions called Regenerate the Pay Stubs. And in here, if you've already generated, you can come into here and you can select Regenerate the Pay Stubs, and it'll get you a whole new stub that you could print out on a check or use as your direct deposit stubs. While we're in here, again, those of you who've been using this software in the past for construction payroll, you had to hit the Send Reporting Data button that you see right here. You had to hit this before it would update the payroll reporting areas. That's gone now. The system's going to automatically send that reporting data over when checks are updated. So the screen, how it's going to look in the R1 release is instead of it saying Send Reporting Data, it basically is going to say, where'd the button go? And it's going to give you a little explanation of what's going on. So they're going to give you a little reminder, hey, you don't need to do this anymore. It's going to happen automatically. And then I would anticipate eventually that going away altogether. In the past, people sometimes would forget to hit the Send Reporting Data button. So this is great. You no longer have to worry about that. That's going to happen automatically behind the scenes. Last little feature update in the payroll side is regarding workers' comp and how the workers' comp codes can pre-fill based on a hierarchy that your company might need. In the past, there was one particular way to do it, and that was the only way. Now they give you two options Actually, if I type in workers' comp in the help, you'll see it right here. There's a liability hierarchy. If I click on that, in the past, here's how it would pull a code. The time card, then the employee master file, then the job cost code override. Well, now they give you the option to change that order, and it can come from the job first. So you can have it either way now. And that's awesome as far as flexibility goes, because everybody does it a little bit different. So now you have the opportunity to do it the way that your company needs it done. So to turn that on and off is over in the setup for payroll, inside your entity. And once I'm in there, I'll select my entity. And in the details tab, you're going to see a new button here called Chargeable Tax Classification Override. If you put your mouse over the information button, you'll get another explanation on it. If you flip it to yes, it's actually going to use this new structure right here. So you can get more information on the help on that. But basically, you can have it your way as far as how workers' comp codes pre-fill. That sums up the Sage Intacct Construction payroll enhancements for 2024 R1.
In the next clip, we'll talk about changes and enhancements to Sage Construction Management integration with Sage Intacct. First off, in the month of February 24, Sage Construction Management has been moved to Microsoft Azure platform. That will align Sage Construction Management with Sage's global strategy, and as a side effect, we can expect increased and enhanced performance and increased storage capabilities. On the integration front, two changes have been made. Integration or mapping between project classifications, departments on Sage Construction Management side and departments on Sage Intacct side. And secondly, there is a mapping ability now between tax schedules or tax groups on a cost type level to the tax groups or schedules over on the Sage Intacct side. So let's have a look. Let's review setup of our example on the Sage Intacct side. And the company setup departments. In this particular case, we identified numerous departments with attempt to keep a track of expenses and revenues on department level on Sage Intacct side. To the mapping mechanism that we now have available in a Sage Construction Management, we will be able to map project classifications to different departments in Sage Intacct. The first step is to go to Sage Construction Management, click on a gear icon top right hand corner, Settings, and then under Menu, let's go to Feature Settings, Lead/Projects. This is a place where you can add a classifications, different classification type, and we just added one called Department. You click on hyperlink, there's a list of departments that we have created, and you can create departments by clicking on Add button. You can add more departments here. Those departments should match departments that you have on Sage Intacct side. Once the changes are completed, you would exit the screen and go back to Application menu. From there, we're going to launch Accounting Link. And on this screen, we're going to click on Posting Preferences, top right-hand corner of the screen. We'll observe two tabs here, Resource and Dimensions, and then we go look at the tax codes. And the Resource and Dimensions, there's a section that relates to department mapping. We're going to change this default setting that says do not use department to use Sage CM project classification populated department. Once you select that option, extra drop-down boxes will open. Pick default department in case no department is assigned to the project. So if you leave department blank on a project side, it will be mapped by default to department you select here. And down below, we're selecting on the last drop-down list here, we're selecting department as a classification type, which will now allow us to do mapping between Sage SCM departments and Sage Intacct departments. This drop-down list reads data from Sage Intacct directly. So let's map commercial to commercial, construction, development, overhead, residential, and finally service. Once changes are made, click on Save and Close. Next, we're going to review mapping of the tax schedules between Sage Construction Management and Sage Intacct. We know that tax schedules and calculation of taxes in Sage Intacct is tied to the item. So here on the Tax tab, under Posting Preferences and Accounting link, we're going to have ability to map tax codes created in Sage Construction Management to different items in Sage Intacct, which are in return linked back to tax schedules. So we have a section here. We have a column of mapping revenue or receivables entry to different items in Sage Intacct, which will drive tax distribution on that side. And in addition, now we can break down the different items and tie them to different tax code by cost type. So this was our presentation on the changes introduced in the version 2024 R1 for Sage Intacct Construction. Thank you for watching.